Hi, guys. Welcome to the second meeting of the Community Social Services Grant. Today, we're going to be hearing from applicants about their submissions. We do have to just do a bit of business first, do a roll call for our ad hoc committee. So bear with me for a second while we do that. So for those members of our ad hoc committee, I'm going to call your name. You could just acknowledge that you're here. That would be great. Jasmine Dolan.
Present.
Derek Elder.
Here.
Tony Wells.
Here.
Nathan James. And for the record, I don't see Nathan, so hopefully he will join us soon. And Miss Gail Tier will not be joining us tonight, but she is watching. Next slide, please. I apologize. We actually need to do some public comment. So members of the public wishing to participate in public comment. So those of you in the audience, now is your opportunity. If you'd like to participate in public comment, please raise your hand. Use your raise your hand feature and you have 2 minutes. Okay, seeing no hands raised from the public tonight, we're going to move right along into new business. So let's see, just to benefit the public, the slide that you're seeing right now is the list of the submissions. The last meeting we discussed who all the applicants were. The ad hoc committee asked to know who had been recipients of the grant the previous cycle. So that is listed on this slide that you can see here. Can you scroll down just a little bit, please, Ernesto? Thank you. Okay. Next slide, please. So first up for presentations tonight, we're going to hear from Community Human Services. Rob Rapp is going to present. He's 5 minutes, and then he's going to receive questions from the panel. Rob?
Thank you so much for having me. Sorry, there's 2 of me here. I have my desktop and I'm having computer issues, so I'm speaking through my phone, so I apologize for that. But thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Rob Rapp. I'm the Development Director for Community Human Services. We have a 52-year history of providing mental health, substance abuse, and homeless services to the residents of Monterey County. We are requesting similar funding to what we received last year, which has been a great help. It's for several programs that are run out of our Seaside Family Service Center, which is located on Broadway. The Family Service Center provides a variety of services, including outpatient mental health counseling, domestic violence and anger management groups, parent education classes, and supervised visitation services. The outpatient mental health can be individual, family, or group counseling, and it's on a variety of issues, including stress and depression, relationship and marital problems, coping with death or illness, conflict and anger, domestic violence, and child abuse. The counseling is provided by licensed therapists and clinically supervised interns, and we do provide all of our services in English and Spanish. Our domestic violence and anger management are probation certified treatment programs for court-referred domestic violence offenders and self-referred individuals seeking treatment for anger management. There's kind of a lack of these programs for the offenders, and this is an important program to have in the county. We also have parenting education classes, which are evidence-based, trauma-informed initiatives designed to build nurturing parenting skills as an alternative to abusive and neglecting parenting and child rearing practices. Finally, we're asking for funding for our supervised visitation and exchange program, which is where supervised visits between non-custodial parents and their children are held at the Family Service Center to help ensure that children maintain a safe and appropriate and meaningful relationships with parents without being subjected to conflict, abuse, or violence. It's a really cool program. We expect to serve about 150 Seaside residents with this funding. Typically about What we did here was we had 80% of this funding is going directly towards salaries and benefits for the people that are working with individuals. It's for our counselors. It's going directly towards providing services. We have about 10% for service charges relating to IT, phones, and internet, and then 10% for indirect costs. Typically, in any given year, we cover about 3/4 of the financial costs for all of these services that we're requesting funding for. The other quarter, we try to make up, that 3/4 is provided mostly through county and Medi-Cal, and then we piece together smaller grants, individual donations. Typically, we are about 20% short, run negative at the end of the year with these programs. We have some other programs that help cover that gap, but this is absolutely a program or a group of programs that we're always looking for funding for. We're never really able to cover what we provide. And there's years when that results in residents of Seaside and just not being able to receive the services that they need. This funding does not duplicate any funding that we have existing, and it would very much increase residents of Seaside's ability to receive these mental health services. Any questions?
Thank you, Rob. Questions from the panel? Jasmine?
Yeah, I just have one question, a clarifying question. So I think what I heard was that the funding specifically being requested for this year is to assist with the supervised custodial and non-custodial parent visitations.
In part, that's one of 4 programs that we're requesting funding for, and they're all run out of the same building in Seaside on Broadway.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Derek.
Thanks for your presentation, Rob. How do clients access your services, and is there a cost to clients to utilize these different services?
All of our services are on a sliding fee scale, and they really are accessed differently depending on the program. A lot of outpatient mental health, the counseling, we get referrals from other service providers. People see us out. We do a lot of outreach at community type events. We do a lot with migrant ed to get the word out about these programs. So we do get a lot of referrals from there. Domestic violence and anger management, that subsection of this family service center, that's usually more of a court ordered kind of thing. And they pay a little bit more, but it doesn't cover the total cost of what it costs to provide that program. Parenting education, a lot of that again is referrals. We work pretty closely with school systems, so we get a lot of referrals through the school systems for parenting education. And then supervised visitation and exchange, that's another one that's often court ordered, not always, but typically that is court ordered. And like I said, it's sliding fee there. If somebody doesn't have the ability to pay anything, they're still going to receive services from us. But we do, if we're able to bill for something, we try to, but we work with people to see what they can do.
Any other questions from the panel? All right. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. Next, we have Community Partnership for Youth, and Ben Bruce is presenting.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Ben Bruce with Community Partnership for Youth. Hopefully you can all hear me okay. The program that we're applying for is our after school mentor tutor program, but just to give a little history for all the panel, CPY started in 1991 when a young man named Raymond Avila was shot and killed here in Seaside. It was out of that tragedy that our grassroots organization was really born. But we, first and foremost, consider ourselves a prevention program. So the target population that was addressed back then was really initially elementary school youth. And that's the biggest population our after school mentor tutor program still serves to this day. One special thing that was implemented back then and is still implemented today, our students have to attend our program Monday through Friday. And what it's done is it's made it so that our students don't attend every day, they attend year after year. So much so that many of our older students continue to stay with the program, and we were not forced, but privileged to be able to establish a middle school leadership program where those middle schoolers then have the opportunity to give back to those after school mentor tutor programs by being junior leaders, and our high school leadership program where our high school students can volunteer with us for a full semester or a full summer, and they're actually able to come on board as paid staff, paid mentors. Again, many of them who have grown up in that program. I like to tell people that's where my journey started, actually with the middle school leadership 20 plus years ago. But I would be lying if I said it was unique to me. It's something that I think we've done a really good job with, especially with regards to our after school mentor tutor program, and it being a program that focuses on building relationships with students. And that's through supporting them with academics, behavior, life skills. We partner directly with the schools, so all of our programs are run out of our elementary schools. We actually have 5 sites that we're working with currently. We're at Delray Woods, Highlands, Ord Terrace, King, and new this year, Dual Language Academy for the Monterey Peninsula. We're currently serving over 400 youth. That's again, K through 6th grade, actually K through 8th grade. And then if you add in our summer numbers, we're already this year, we've served over 500 students. Having come out of the pandemic last year, we were very fortunate that we were able to partner with MPUSD then as well and provide initially just safe spaces for students while they did their distance learning. As we return to fully in person this year, we see firsthand just the impact our community has by the sheer vastness of our wait lists alone. Every one of our sites has a significant wait list, and you know, CPY is not in this alone. There's organizations that our families rely on in our community, and we're just privileged to be at the table. But clearly there is a need. We're privileged this year to have a MSW intern working with us, again, partnering with MPUSD, who is also working with some of our students during the school day as well. But I just want to thank the City of Seaside, because since the beginning, City of Seaside's been one of our biggest supporters. That goes without saying for last year. Again, extremely proud of the services that we were able to provide. But for this specific proposal, it again is, it's allowing us to continue to offer our after school mentor tutor program to youth in our community, and that those funds are directly going to our mentors, specifically our Seaside mentors, who are the staff working and supporting these students day in, day out. Again, many of them were those students in the program and are paving the way for the next generation. We know 5-10 years from now, it's going to be the students that we're serving today that make up our staffing. It's a model that we're very proud of, and it's something that we continue to see and want to continue to grow and a lot of thrive. And I'm, again, privileged to be in the position that I'm here now to have mentors work with me who stick around and support their community. And again, just want to say thank you to the panel for listening to these presentations, and thank you to the City of Seaside for really your instrumental support in allowing our organization to do the work that we do. And I would love to answer any questions you might all have for me.
Thank you, Ben. Any questions for Ben? Tony?
Yeah, hi. Thank you. I'm just curious, Ben, if you could just give me a brief 1-minute explanation about what it actually looks like for a child in the after school program from the time they end school until their parents come to get them or until they walk home. What exactly are they doing?
Sounds good. So brief 1-minute explanation. Our students, fortunately, were already on campus. So our kids get out of school. Typically, our teachers are bringing the students over to our location. This year, it's a little bit different. Historically, our hub is the cafeteria, but each school space varies a little bit. Once they arrive to us, they're getting checked in. First part of the day is usually focused on academics. So that's going to be helping with homework. That's going to be reading in small groups or one-on-one with students. From there, the day is going to break into usually indoor and outdoor organized activities. That might be playing games with students. Connect Four is one of my favorites. It might be playing soccer or just having a conversation, but the idea of our staff working with those students is it's keeping them engaged and also our staff really being engaged with those students. Wednesdays and Fridays are heavy days for arts and crafts. So we're doing arts and crafts. This behind me is a relic at this point, but you get the idea. We do lots of art with our students as well. We partner with CSUMB, we partner with other organizations, really to try to provide different opportunities for our students. Another part of the day is Circle, where our students sit together. It's this year, with weather permitting, been outside, and we will have snack with the students, but we'll say what's known as the Cpy Standards, which are really the life skills component. There's 6 of them. They each teach students how to be respectful to one another, to themselves. They also talk about integrity. And as the day winds down from all these different activities, I should mention, since we're on campus, we have the privilege of working directly with a lot of the admin, with the teachers as well on campus to provide even more individualized support. But our program ends at 4:30. We then have pickup, which goes until about 5 o'clock. And we're privileged to also have a partnership at some of our sites with the After School Academy. So for those parents who cannot pick up their student, their child at 4:30 to 5, they're actually able to stay until 6 with one of our staff who's been supporting MPUSD's After School Academy till the end of the day.
Thank you. Any more questions for Ben? Thank you very much. Next slide, please, Ernesto.
Thank you.
Next, we have Meals on Wheels, and Esther Hobbs is going to be presenting. Esther?
Good evening. My name is Esther, and I am with Meals on Wheels of the Monterey Peninsula. We've been serving frail, elderly, and disabled clients in Seaside for nearly 50 years. We're uniquely situated as one of the 10% national Meals on Wheels programs that cook fresh meals for clients. This past year has been our busiest yet, and we've seen a huge increase in meals served in the city of Seaside. Thanks to the purchase of new equipment, a new delivery vehicle, and a team of dedicated volunteers, so far we have been able to meet the demand. 5 days a week, we send out deliveries in Seaside for homebound seniors. Each delivery includes items for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Daily meals include milk, cereal, juice, fresh fruit, a freshly prepared hot entree, soup, salad, a sandwich, and dessert. The hot entree includes a protein, a vegetable, and at least 600 calories. On Fridays, we offer a double meal that provides food for one day of the weekend. Throughout the ongoing COVID crisis, we've had the opportunity to dedicate ourselves to provide high quality foods for our clients. And we have a partnership with the Monterey Bay Fisheries Trust to provide access to local, sustainably caught seafood for our clients. And we also offer certified grass-fed beef and no antibiotics ever chicken. Everyone deserves high quality nutrition, and we are proud to offer trustworthy sourced foods. Besides offering nutrition to homebound seniors, we also provide a daily check-in for our clients. Many of them report that seeing their delivery driver is sometimes the only person that they see all day. Having a friendly conversation impacts the mental health of our clients as well. Meals on Wheels of the Monterey Peninsula is respectfully requesting $20,000 for a portion of our food costs only. Our estimated cost to provide Meals on Wheels services to the Seaside community in the next year is $410,000. Our requested amount is only about 4.9% of the budget. thank you for your time and your consideration, and I'll leave any time for any questions that you may have now.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Esther and Meals on Wheels program? Jasmine?
Esther, I just have one question. I was curious to know if you have a number of what the increase was for seniors needing meals during COVID.
I do. So I do have that number. We have been looking at about a 97% increase in services so far in the year 2021 than we did last year at the beginning of COVID.
And would you say that that was in part due to like the closure of some of the centers that give the meals out for like the social lunch hour?
That's an excellent question. And I think that more of it is that seniors feel a little bit more unsafe going outside because some of them have more frail health. We are continuing to support congregate meals in places like the Old Meyer Center and our Meals on Wheels Community Center in Pacific Grove. But what we're seeing is just that a lot of people are kind of losing touch with being able to be out in the world and don't feel safe going out shopping for themselves right now.
Derek?
Hi, thank you, Esther. How many seniors would you say you're currently serving in the city of Seaside?
I believe right now we have a little over 90. When I first submitted the grant, it was about 89, but I was just talking to somebody today and they said that our numbers have grown even since then.
And sorry, just one second part to that. Is there an anticipation of that number increasing still?
So at the beginning of COVID, we anticipated that our numbers would grow by about 20%, but since we're growing by about 90% right now, I anticipate that they will continue to grow. And we have all hope and faith that we will always be able to meet the demand.
Thank you, Esther. Any more questions from the panel? Next slide, please, Ernesto. Next, we have Palenque Arts. Mr. Juan Sanchez is going to be presenting.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for the invite. I'm going to be sharing my screen, telling you a little bit about Palenque Arts and in our proposal. So first of all, thank you for the opportunity. Palenque Arts is a multicultural arts organization here in Seaside. We're located in the Martin Luther King School of the Arts campus. We were founded in 2016 as a grassroots organization, mostly made out of artists, educators, and community members. We saw the lack of affordable multicultural arts programs for the youth in the city of Seaside. We actually surveyed 155 high schoolers who, to a T, they all said, we need this kind of these kind of programs in our city, especially high quality, culturally rooted, multidisciplinary arts, music, and dance programs. So what is our mission is to educate, inspire, and transform the community through the arts. Our big vision is to create a safe, vibrant, and inclusive multicultural arts center in the city of Seaside, beyond the small space where we're doing all our operations from, which is a converted locker room space next to the gym at Martin Luther King School of the Arts, a place where everybody can feel welcome, feel seen, valued, and welcome through the healing powers of the arts. So what is it that we do? We have 5 areas of work. The biggest one, of course, is multicultural arts classes for youth. We have 13 different art disciplines throughout the year, from hip hop dance to ballet folklorico, bilingual chorus, etc. We have a world music concert series, monthly world music concert series, family art programs. We just finished Day of the Dead family arts, community events like our own festival, yearly festival. We also perform for the city in collaboration with Monterey County Pops, and we have healing arts workshops like Art Against Bullying. So who do we serve? We serve on average, 120 to 140 unduplicated clients yearly, and it was 85 during the pandemic. But it was a very intense situation. We did not stop. We did all our programming online, and it was really very taxing. To give you an example, our 17 piano students, private piano classes, were taught from Japan. Our teacher had to move to Japan and continue teaching from there, waking up at 5:30 in the morning. Our families are mostly immigrant families, mostly from Oaxaca and Mexico and El Salvador. We also have other ethnicities represented, but many of them are in a very vulnerable state. As a matter of fact, the pandemic did a number on many of them, and we had to provide direct assistance. So this is part of our impact. We survey our parents and our kiddos every year, and these are some of the things that they say. 100% feel welcome, 97% rate our teachers as excellent, and 3% as very good. 92% improve their self-esteem, and rate our classes are excellent, 91%. What is it that we're requesting? We're requesting $40,000 in funding to hire a program manager. I am the only full-time person working currently at Palenque Arts, and we're open 5 days a week. But sometimes, because we have special events, we're open 7 days a week. Last week, for example, we had a Family Arts Day on Saturday, and we hosted a spoken word and gospel music concert on Sunday night. So what is it going to allow us to do with this program manager, this full-time position? We're going to be able to restore our class enrollment to pre-COVID numbers and actually expand it. We, as of last count, we had already served 140 unduplicated individuals as of the last quarter. We're going to be expanding in-person classes and give us some respite, because this has been as a very short staff, very small organization. Bringing somebody full-time on board is going to be a huge game changer. We're going to be able to fortify our administrative infrastructure, create that full-time position, and of course, give us some financial viability. We are here at Martin Luther King School of the Arts on an MOU that actually it's a 1-year MOU that we have to prepare for possibly moving, especially because we're kind of outgrown this space. Whenever we have events with our families, especially with COVID, we cannot fit all in that little locker room space. I think you have all access to the program budget, so I will not go too much into detail, just to give you share with you what is it that we're trying to do. Our total cost for the program manager is $57,995. And we are very fortunate to have received a Packard Foundation grant. As of last week, we finally got our check. And the big chunk of it is going to be devoted to that program manager position. And that's all I have right now. I would love to field any questions on behalf of our families. Thank you so much. Muchísimas gracias. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Juan. Any questions from the panel? Derek?
Thank you. Is there a cost to program participants?
So we have a registration fee, annual registration fee for Seaside residents of $100 that is met by about 20 of our 140 students. We have basically a no questions asked. You need a scholarship, and most folks take it. Those $100, I always tell my parents, and I'm really proud of the ones that are coming up with those funds. It's a commitment, right? Because it's like $3 a class basically, and I said it includes snacks. So it has been a really horrific time for our community. Many of our families have really struggled just making rent. I'm really terrified, but there's lots of stories of resilience, and what I'm really proud of saying is that even though we might have raised $2,500, I think, in registration fees, I feel like the community really stepping up, and the city of Seaside has already done so. I hope that it continue being the case.
Thank you. Tony?
Yeah, hi. I'm just wondering if you've done any research or anybody else has done any types of research about outcomes for children that participate in your program versus children who don't participate in the program, whether it's academic or social or juvenile justice, goodness forbid, but just anything at all.
Right. So I can pull up the full survey results. When I was giving you that quick slide on the impact, right? One of the things that our funders are asking is data, right? It's like, why is it important to come? And I always tell them that there's and I'll be happy to send you that information, the full report, parent survey results. One of the things that we're looking for is both artistic achievement, right? You know, we're teaching music, dance, theater, right? Or film. Like today we had a film class. Right now there's a ballet folklorico class going on. So we measure that in authentic assessment, which is the students have to present themselves in front of, this next Monday, we were going to have a presentation at the Oldemeyer Center for Dia de los Muertos. Our families put together an ofrenda, a big altar. We're coming together as a community, right? So sometimes that data of like self-esteem, accepting other cultures, academic achievement, we actually do have those numbers, and they're pretty impressive. But I always like to say that I'm fortunate enough to have the cream of the crop, like those parents who are very dedicated, the ones that really are. I mean, it brings me to tears to see families that are walking all the way from Fremont all the way up here, top of Broadway. We're right next to the fire station. And here they are, and they bring their snacks and during COVID, they were like, snuggled up and so I'm proud to say that we're transforming this community. We're bringing a heart together because the arts is the beautiful healing piece. There are a lot of families that are broken. A lot of families that have told me, and actually I do have a lot of, one of the things that they said is like, Palenque Arts has impacted our family in a very positive way. It has taught my daughter values, discipline, and how to be a good human being. We're so happy to be a part of this amazing family. So anyways, it's all there. Thank you.
Thank you. Jasmine?
Yes, I just have two questions. The first question is, you were talking about the hopes of having this person would help offer more services and potentially increase revenue. And I was just curious because it sounds like there's very little revenue being collected with all the amazing things that you guys are offering. I'm just curious where the revenue is coming from that you have. And then I'm also curious, I know you said that your MOU is only a year and hopefully it gets extended. I will keep my fingers crossed for you there. But have you looked at other possible housing sources for your program?
Yeah, I think I'm ready to recruit you. Yeah, would you like to do some board work? So first things first, we are mostly grant funded. We're actually 80% grant funded. And this year we're very fortunate to have gotten our first California Arts Council grant, which has been providential. Packard Foundation finally, after 5 years of trying to get in the radar, we got that. We do have now some individuals who are stepping up, and we're bringing some revenues. Of course, if you go visit other arts organizations, for example, in Mountain View, you ask them, so what's your revenue source? 97%, some of them, it's all from fees, which is pretty frightening to me because in our community it would not be sustainable, right? So, it is a huge pressure for us to raise our funds. And even though we have been a $150,000 organization, we are really wanting to step up, and we actually want to be a hub for community arts and culture in the city of Seaside. I think it's deserved. I think it's long time. I mean, I just had Dr. Lusk visit us, and he's like, wow, you're doing so much in such a little space. I'm like, yeah, I know, but how often have you been talking about Performing Arts Center in Seaside? For years, since she was a principal at Seaside High, right? So I think this is the time. I'm hoping that folks step up to the plate. To your question about the housing, yeah, we're looking. We're actually trying to think outside the box, trying to talk to folks. We have some folks who are wanting us to get into some commercial real estate, talking to the city about perhaps in one of their future developments to incorporate our multicultural arts center. For us, it's all about access, equity, and dignity in the work that we do, and intentionality. We want our cultures to be represented. This is not an elitist project by, I don't know if you can tell or not. We don't want the elites to come and be in our midst. We want to really serve as the heart of the city, and as a place of gathering where a lot of people, and I'm proud to say that I'm partners with of course with the district, with the city, but CSUMB, Service Learning Institute, CPY, who's at the table, in the Monterey County Pops, a lot of folks. That's how we do it, Jasmine. We do it by a lot of people at the table. Palenque means a palisade. It's a collection of palos or sticks, and we need a lot of sticks, to make it work.
Thank you. Any additional questions for Palenque Arts? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. Okay, next we have Road to Reality and Brandon Carter. Take it away.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brandon Carter. I'm a naval officer at the Naval Postgraduate School.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Powell. I'm a current high school teacher at Seaside High. And so we want to thank you all for letting us be here tonight to present our program, Road to Reality. And so our vision that we have for our program is that we're a community where individuals are working together to have a positive impact on their community, which will be Seaside. So just as a brief background, we are an up and coming nonprofit. We were just established last year. And we're a group that is dedicated to all individuals who are willing to thrive and work together towards positive change for the community. We will be mostly working with at-risk youth in varied ages that range from middle school all the way up to 24 years old. Our main focus is on the Seaside community, but in the future, and also depending on availability, we would love to expand to the greater Monterey County. With our proposed activities, which you will hear shortly from Brandon, we have a group of individuals who not only have the experience and expertise, but who have the heart and passion to tackle the lack of opportunities and resources in our community. And according to the Community Action Partnerships Community Needs Assessment of 2019, it states a few statistics that say Monterey County's cost of living is 33.1% higher than the US average. And so with many of the classes that we will be providing in the same article that I mentioned before, it also states that these following topics are needed based on surveys conducted in our area. So different topics such as physical health services, health and fitness, mental behavioral health support, behavioral improvement programs, child and youth educational programs, mentoring and tutoring, job readiness training, internship and apprenticeship, and also leadership training. So I'm going to go ahead and have Brandon expound on our proposed activities.
Now, in total, there will be 6 courses: a course for leadership, apprenticeship preparation training, computer coding fundamentals, certified life skills, real estate, basics, and physical fitness/self-defense. Our methodologies for each of these are evidence-based and are all proponents to unifying all of our participants. The leadership course curriculum will develop the soft skills of its students and emphasize 4 major aspects. First being building self-confidence through knowledge and empowerment. Next, to build other personal character traits to include self-control, self-discipline, and respect for others, to resolve conflicts through communication, vice emotional reactions and responses. The third, problem-solving skills through non-physical simulations to test the taught logical process and to build experience through applying the knowledge that we give to the students. And lastly, helping others, as being a leader requires one, to serve with compassion while also accepting the responsibilities that they have. Our next course, the Apprenticeship Prep, will teach the basic fundamentals of math that will enable the students to learn or refresh their skills that they already have prior to taking an apprenticeship exam. Many of these exams require similar math sections, so we'll be teaching them in 4 basic categories. At the end, this course will provide support from the bottom to ensure students are comfortable with approaching an apprenticeship test so they can start their careers in their field of interest. Next, for our computer coding course, up to 15 students for this particular course will run through a curriculum that will guide them into the basics of using a computer language. The computers that we'll use will have the requisite software necessary, and the students will have an opportunity to explore all the things that come with being tech savvy. Our society is getting more and more technologically sound, and with that, understanding a computer language will promote innovation, efficiency, communication, and productivity. Next, for our certifiable life skills, the offered skills can give someone the confidence to potentially save someone's life or progress in their field of work. Many businesses require CPR, AED certifications, and Road to Reality can officially legitimize somebody's certificate there. For physical fitness and self-defense, you can get healthy with our workouts that are run by our staff while learning the basics of mixed martial arts. Respect, discipline, and work ethic are the foundations of Road to Reality, as well as the sport, and can build up the self-confidence and self-esteem that we mentioned before. Lastly, according to the Habitat for Humanity, low-income households and households of color have limited access to home ownership because of barriers such as limited supply of affordable housing, restricted access to credit, and system inequities. Homeownership can be a catalyst for wealth building, and educating participants on the basics of real estate can really give them the knowledge and tools necessary to reduce the likelihood that they will accept offers from predatory lenders while increasing the chance that they will successfully purchase a home to start or continue their journey to generational wealth. Each of these courses encourages our participants to provide positive contributions to their community, and our participants want to make you proud, as do we. Thank you.
And just to close up, with us being up and coming, we do have a very future and promising partnership with Taylor Farms, who wants to work with the Seaside community to expand and increase the participation of agricultural leadership of Black and Brown communities. And so we also are going to inquire feedback from all of our participants to ensure different areas that our program can improve on. So that way we are providing the best resources and information to all those that participate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the panel? Jasmine?
Just a couple. The first question I have is, as far as these classes being offered, I love the variety. Is there a fee to the participants, or is it something that is offered at no charge, and this is kind of what the grant is helping cover? Do you want me to ask all my questions at once, or do you guys want to give time to answer in between? Whatever you guys are more comfortable with.
We don't mind either way. We can, well, actually, it'll be easier to track it if
One
we
at a
can
time.
track it one at a time. So to start off, in regards to feeding, all the courses are free of charge. And what this will give us the opportunity to do, receiving this grant, will provide us with the equipment and the necessary materials that we need to facilitate these courses.
Okay, so then that, I guess, covers my next question, because I know some of the courses being offered do require like a certification fee. Like, I think I read in the proposal, like first aid, CPR, I know Red Cross charges a fee to get them in the database and officially certify. So that would be covered in those, along with other certifications you guys are offering. And then I think my last question, actually I have two, sorry. One is the program, it sounds like, is currently being housed at Seaside High, what you guys are currently offering?
Yes, that's correct. So right now we're in partnership with Seaside High to hold our pilot course. And this pilot course, as Jessica was saying, will give us the data analysis necessary to continue to project out what we want to do and how many people we can put in one place at one time.
Okay. And then my last question, and I'm assuming the answer, but I just want to be clear. I'm assuming because you guys are working with the school district that everybody that is participating, interacting with the students and the youth are all going to be like background check, fingerprinted, and clear all that.
Correct.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Derek?
Hey, I think I read in your proposal that you said some of these courses, if not all, were offered in some capacity as a club before. I guess I'm curious as to what was the level of interest. Was there a lot of participation? Is that what kind of led to this proposal?
Yeah, so I currently was a teacher at Monterey High School and then switched over to Seaside High School. We won't talk about that, but so we held a leadership and mentorship program and also for more behavioral and mental health club called Pearl Status in the Huddle Club. So Pearl Status was geared towards the young women. The Huddle Club was geared more towards the young men. So I would facilitate the Pearl Status clubs and then Brandon would do the Huddle Club. And so we actually would hold the clubs during lunchtime once a week. So it's a voluntary club. There was no commitment to it. And we would have at least over 20 kids, boys and girls separately, that would come to this club on their own time. And if you can recall being a high schooler at lunch, you want to go do your thing, try to go eat, go find all the, go ditch real quick to go to the mall. But kids were staying every week to get themselves filled up, with tools and different things that's going to help them to become better, not just behavioral or not just mentally, but also emotionally. Also in the classroom, we saw less behavior problems, with the students that were attending our clubs. And so it actually came to a point where the principal came to me and said, can I send the kids that have lunchtime detention to your clubs instead of having them sit in a room? I said, bring them, why have them just sit at a wall for the whole lunch period? They need to be hearing something that's going to help them to really think about the decisions that they're making. So we were doing that club for about 4 years at Monterey High School. And we've probably served at least a few hundred students every year. We also did a community outreach, partnered up with the NNOA, so the National Naval Academy. I probably butchered it, but with Brandon at the Naval Postgraduate School. And we had about 10 to 15 kids that came out to feed the less fortunate, and this was from our club. So we've seen a huge buy-in with the students, but also long-term reciprocating back. They're still in this area doing great things because of the programs that we had at the club. So that's why we wanted to make it not just for high school clubs, but to expand it to be available for everybody in our community.
Tony?
Yeah, hi. You guys did a really good job in your proposal, giving us a little bit of background information about the people who will be teaching the classes. I'm just wondering if besides people's professional experience, anybody within your organization has a background, has any type of program director, has a background in managing grants and what kind of goes along with making the people that give you the money happy. Just any experience about that besides the professional work that you guys indicated on the little resume that you submitted.
Yeah, so myself, I work with a few nonprofit organizations from here all the way up to the Bay Area. So I currently work with other organizations of grant writers that help and assist us as well. So that way we're not just going in blinded, but we have worked with Jesse from the Rotary Club and also the Boys and Girls Club, who has assisted us a few times. Also a few people out in the Salinas area that have been assisting us as well.
And if I may add, I had an opportunity to work with the Recognizing Military Service Center there on Del Monte, and I was their secretary. So right here in Seaside as well, next to, the same building as Michelle's Soul Food. And with that in mind, I had a chance to experience assisting with grant writing, as well as getting information and knowledge on how to write them to, like you said, make the people who give you money happy. And then in addition to that, as Jessica was mentioning earlier, I'm also the president of the National Naval Officers Association that is on the Naval Postgraduate Campus. And our Monterey chapter started, I'm actually the second president. With that in mind, we're allowed to have grants because we're a non-federal entity. So same kind of information necessity for us in that program, in that capacity. So just enough experience is really what I'm getting at.
Thank you. Derek?
These next set of questions are kind of all connected. How do you plan to market or I guess get the interest of those potential participants?
Sure. So starting off, since we're doing our pilot at Seaside High School as planned, what we're going to do is be able to garner some of that interest from a couple of different ways. So one, through social media. And then since Jessica is actually a teacher there at Seaside High School, she's got a direct in with the students as well as the faculty and staff. So we'll use her a lot for Seaside High School. For the other schools, same kind of thing. Since she was at Monterey High School, we can do the same thing. And then from the Naval Postgraduate School, my intention is to have volunteers who will continue to pass this around for us, so word of mouth. And then we also intend to have local businesses put this word out as well for us, as some of our volunteers are already working in the community as local sports coaches or as educators in some other capacity.
Okay, and then the different courses, are they all, as I'm trying to understand, they're offered for 12 weeks. Are they all offered at the same time? Or is it like a certain course is offered first and then, you have the option for a different course afterwards? Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Okay.
So the plan right now is to be able to offer all the courses at one time per 12 weeks. And if you decided as a participant that you wanted to get into another class, having already been to the session, you would have an opportunity to get on the list as soon as you complete that next course, or that first course, excuse me.
For the next round of courses then, so ideally I could be someone that starts out week 1 and let's say does, the certified life skills, and then I can continue on through the next 5 courses potentially consecutively.
Yes.
Do you anticipate an overflow or a wait list when it comes to this?
We hope so.
We hope, yeah.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Any more questions for Road to Reality from the panel? All right. Next slide, please, Ernesto. Thank you, guys. So next we have Miss Eloise Shim. She's going to be presenting on the Screenplay Home Writers Actors Workshop. Ms. Shim.
Okay, can you hear my, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see your presentation.
Okay, great. Let me just cue it up here. Okay, well, thank you, CSS committee, for listening to and considering my project for the city of Seaside. The name of my project is the Screenplay Home Writers Actors Youth Workshop, otherwise known as SHWAY in Seaside. My name is Eloise Shim. Apart from just reading through text, performing arts students want to put their writing and reading into practice, and they want to show it to the world. SHWAY in Seaside will help students take a deeper dive into those literary assignments and bring them to life for an audience. It will help students take ownership of their creative works and spread them out into the community while fostering diverse relationships with peers from other cultures. I have a degree from the University of California, Santa Cruz in theater arts. I can guide groups in exercises to increase their creativity while building self-esteem and also character building. It's been challenging for students during the pandemic, and they want to get away from screen time and back to face-to-face real time. Classes and workshops at Shway and Seaside will instill not only reading versus screen time, but help attendees recognize the meaning of text, identify relationships among words and concepts, and draw conclusions from obscure information. As an educator, I've lived in the Monterey Peninsula for 20 years, and I have experience in supervision, coordinating activities, advising students in multidisciplinary areas. I espouse to high moral values and expectations such as respect for parents and teachers, respect for self, community trust building. I will also encourage the importance of routine, fostering authentic interactions with peers, esteem building, and good boundary setting guidelines. As well as an educator, I'm also the author of the book entitled Education Policy During the Obama Years, which I published in 2018. I was a journalist for Examiner.com as their education policy examiner for 6 years. I wrote articles about education on the Central Coast with lesson plans in arts, literature, history, and even math and science. I used ideas from my book, and I'll invite local artists to give classes and workshops to students. The goal of Shway and Seaside is to establish an organization and a place where students can express, share, be inspired, and excel in performing arts. They will share accomplishments, network with others, showcase their projects, and get feedback in a safe and supported environment. Some examples of workshops and classes that I will offer are how to make a successful podcast, a travelogue, an audio recording, how to write a screenplay, copyright permissions, English literature, poetry, how to devise a choreography warm-up, keeping an arts journal, costume design, building sets, lighting design, and sonnet writing. Regular class meetings of at least twice a week during after school and weekend hours will ensue. Scheduled micro events will showcase student talent. In order to commence with the group activities, students will be required to complete a questionnaire with biographical information. If granted funding, I will use a grant that I got from the Arts Council from Monterey County to launch my project. And if I get the grant, this grant, I'll divide the money into categories such as rent for studio space, salaries, furnishings, technology, and marketing. Also, I will be accountable by quarterly reports of income and expenditures to the city of Seaside along with activities. I believe that my project will be a great benefit to youth in Seaside and local surrounding cities. And thank you for listening, and I'll have any questions now.
Thank you for your presentation. Any questions from the panel? Jasmine.
Yes, I have a couple. Would you like me to read the list off, or would you like me to go one at a time?
Oh, you can go one at a time.
Okay. The first question I have in reviewing the submission was, I noticed that there was a lack of a 501c3, and I did see that you had mentioned that if you were awarded the requested grant, that you would then apply for 501c3 status. I know that the parameters that were given was that 501c3 status was needed, or there needed to be partnership with a 501c3. And you mentioned that potentially you would be maybe looking for that partnership. I wanted to see if any of that has been obtained, and if any conversations have actually been had to meet that requirement of the grant application?
Okay, yes, that's a great question. As far as the 501(c)(3)s, the 503C status, that status is just really a matter of application or, yeah, applying for it for tax purposes. So if I am granted the funding, I would do that. But I have had a conversation with the Arts Council of Monterey County. And, I've asked them to mentor me until I gain that status. Does that answer your question?
Yes. And so were they in agreement to allow you to practice under their umbrella then? Is that the understanding?
I haven't had extensive conversations with them about it, but they did give me a grant. So they were in support. They are in support of my
the program.
Yeah, my program.
Right. Okay.
Because I got the grant in the mid-September. It's a small grant. It's only, a little over $1,000, but it's for the same program, and they were in support of that.
Okay. So just to clarify, there hasn't been anything in solid conversation of them allowing you to use the 501(c)(3) status.
There hasn't been any specific agreement made.
Okay. And then my next question is, if I read it correctly, the classes are going to be free?
For the most part, they're free. Other than, I would ask for, if they can afford it, it would be based on affordability for students in Seaside, maybe $35 per quarter, which is just very small amount of money, or $50 from students outside of Seaside that would be attending. But those fees could be waived based on, based on their income or their parents' income.
Okay. And then
so pretty much it could be free.
And then in that situation, then the fee paying participants would not necessarily take over the seats for those that couldn't meet that, correct?
Say that again. They would do what now?
So like if you were saying that some people may outside of Seaside would pay $50, and then those that were in Seaside, depending on their situation, would have free classes. So would the Seaside participants get priority, or is that whoever?
Yes, the Seaside people will get priority because the name of the program is Shway in Seaside. So of course I would give priority to students in Seaside, in this community.
Okay, and then my last question is, do you have a location to offer these courses?
Right now it's a work in progress. As I said in the proposal, that I was planning on a storefront, maybe on Broadway or something like that, because there is a lot of space available there. So, it's still kind of a work in progress.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Derek?
Hello, Ms. Jim. I'm curious, what level of interest have you been able to gather as it relates to wanting to participate in a program like this? And what method did you use to assess for that?
Well, I myself have been, like I said, active in the community here in Seaside and in Monterey Peninsula overall. And I myself have taken part in writing workshops and poetry writing workshops. And there seems to be quite a lot of interest for specifically this kind of a program. Because say, for instance, if a high school production wanted to work on, an audition, But what if these students wanted to go above and beyond say a high school production, and they wanted to say audition for UCSC Shakespeare Theater or something like that? These classes would prepare them for something above and beyond their high school production.
Is there a number of youth that can participate or that you anticipate you can support for a program like this?
I think there are quite a lot of them because, say, for instance, in schools like Stevenson or York, where they have specialized arts programs in theater arts, but in Seaside, you don't have that. So this would fulfill that need.
Okay, and then besides yourself, can you just give a little bit of an explanation on the type of staffing who would provide the different course or teach the different courses that I see you've outlined in your workshop?
Right, I have a team of about 4 to 5 people of artists, and not only artists, but builders and people from other disciplines that have agreed to be on my team. So I'm in communication with them.
Is there some kind of vetting process or background check process that would take place as they would be working with youth?
No, it's just people that I know, because I've lived here a long time and I know a lot of people in terms of, I don't vet people, I just know them. Do you know what I mean? Are you talking about students who would participate, or are you talking about my team?
The team,
the team are people who are artists, people that I know. So I don't vet them, I just know them. They're my friends, in other words. So if they're my friends, I don't have to vet them. I know they're good to go.
Do you have any more questions, Derek?
I think that's it for now. Thank you.
Jasmine, your hand is still raised. Do you have additional questions? Okay, thank you, Ms. Shim. Next slide, please, Ernesto. Moving right along. Okay, next up we have Sun Street Centers, and Miss Anna Foglia is going to present.
Thank you, Ashley. It's great to be here. Great to see the team. Thank you for listening to us this evening. So Sun Street Centers has been around since 1968, and we've been in Seaside since 1997. Our mission is prevention, treatment, and recovery services for people suffering from alcohol and drug addiction. Work with families, adults, and teens. And at the Seaside office, located at 1201 Echo, we have multiple programs there right now. We have our DUI, driving under the influence education classes for people that get drunk driving tickets. We have an outpatient program for substance use disorder for adults and for teenagers. We have our prevention department, which works with teens, also elementary and middle school students, to try and prevent substance abuse in the first place. And I think I just forgot one. Oh, we have a new program that we just started. We've been doing it in South County for about 5 years, and we just got funding through Prop 64 to expand to Seaside, and it's a intervention program for first-time offenders to avoid getting that initial ticket. And it's a 6-month program with some parenting life skills included, pro-social activities, volunteering in the community. Last year, we got an awesome grant that was really helpful during COVID. We were able to hire 3 of our students who, yeah, we're continuing. We kept that in the budget for this year, and I'm trying to keep that going because it's great first-time job for a student in our Safe Teens Empowerment Project to participate in the strategizing and planning and execution of educating our community on different issues. We work really closely with Montage Hospital and Prescribe Safe. We've been involved with trying to stem some of these overdoses that we're seeing, which it's been really rough during COVID. You know, there's just been a lot of substance abuse with adults and kids, more than is reported, more than police or teachers are aware of, just because of the lack of being able to see people in person. And, you know, the studies are already coming out that it's only going to be worse in the next couple of years. And so that's kind of what we do. This year, we're asking for the funding. About most of our funding is covered by behavioral health or public health or Medi-Cal, private insurance. DUI is all self-pay, but about 10% of our funding every year, I have to struggle to find grants to keep us going. And, you know, there's a big need, and we definitely need this 10%, which we try and get from local foundations. And I'm really pleased that the city is considering us this year to support what we're working on. Any questions?
Thank you. Questions from the panel? No questions? Okay, Ms. Fogley, it looks like you're off the hook.
That was an awesome presentation. No,
it was outstanding.
I think I'm last, so I don't know.
I've got, I think maybe one more.
United Way or something. Okay, yeah. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much. Next slide, please, Ernesto. All right, and we have the Village Project. Mr. Mel Mason. You're good to go, sir. Go ahead and unmute.
Oh, good. Okay. There seems to be some internet problems of some sort with some of us, and hopefully I can get through this without being frozen. Again, my name is Mel Mason. I'm executive director and clinical director and co-founder of the Village Project. And we just
It seems we lost you, Mr. Mason. You're frozen. Can you guys hear him? Or is he frozen? Okay. Let's see if we can't. There you are. Try again, Mr. Mason.
Fortunately, I think he has himself on mute now.
Yep, you're on mute. Let's try again.
Okay, I'm sorry. It must be me. Our program is it's the two-pronged program that's involving outpatient therapy and also youth violence intervention. For the outpatient therapy, which is a dedicated program the violence intervention program.
Mr. Mason, you're still breaking up. I wonder if you turn your camera off, if that may help your bandwidth a little bit. We can try that, turning your camera off and seeing if we just can hear your voice, if that would make it better. And if that doesn't work, we'll figure something out so that you have an opportunity to present. And I may have, there he goes. Let's see. You want to try it with your camera off and see if that makes it better?
Okay, I hope so.
Okay.
All righty. Let's see. Okay, I hope this works.
Okay, you actually sound better. So
Oh,
let's
okay.
see.
Okay, I guess it doesn't have to look at me, so it it's happier. Okay, but our therapeutic program, for that program, our goal was to see 50 to 55 individuals for therapy. That's an ambitious goal, I believe. I think we stated that in the beginning, but as it turns out, as of today, and checking with Danielle, our therapist, she is now seeing today her 63rd client, so when we also look at the fact that we did couples therapy, or she did, as well as family therapy, even though the identified client is one person, but when you bring in a family, or when you bring in couples, then the numbers actually go up, quite a bit more than just the 63 or so. For the youth violence intervention program, Ron is now seeing about 60 families and about 130 young people. And these are young people that could be out in the street causing havoc. But as a result of Ron and his work, and the fact that he is a trusted practitioner out there with these young folks, that we have had a cessation of violence. We had gunplay. We had some people that could have gotten killed had it not been for this program. But since then, Ron has been on all of the campuses in the school district. He's being asked to come and speak to classes from high schools to middle schools to elementary schools. And he continues to get referrals from school, from families. He has been to juvenile hall. He has been to a juvenile court, and has gotten a really good reputation for himself and also for our agency in being able to intervene with these youngsters and give them, a second chance. This summer, he had a number of his youngsters who he had gotten into jobs. So the work is ongoing. We're asking that we be renewed for this grant. In Danielle's case, just to give you an idea of the clients that we're working with, most of whom are clients of color, many of whom are African American, and almost all of them have been to therapy for the first time in their lives as a result of this program and of Danielle's work. Clients that she has seen have met the clinical diagnosis criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, depressive disorder, panic disorder, adjustment disorder. We had 7 clients that actually came to therapy as a result of serious suicidal ideation. And now they're reporting that they're no longer having thoughts of suicide. So as a result of the success of this program component, there are currently 28 clients who are now on our wait list, who are wanting to get into therapy, like people that they knew who had gotten into therapy this past year. So we have a goal of seeing 45 to 50 new clients, not the ones that she's been seeing, but new clients. And that's an ambitious goal, but we think, that folks are out there who really need these services, and that the numbers will probably go past what we've set as an ambitious goal. We have not had one single person who came to therapy who quit therapy prematurely. Nobody has done a premature quit of therapy. In fact, I think the challenge for Danielle has been getting people to move on, even though they've met their treatment goals. It's that they still want to stay, even though they admit that they are doing better, that they met those goals, that they don't really want to cut Danielle loose. But what we're having to do is to help people move on who've actually completed their goals so that we can get more people into therapy. Hopefully, we'll be refunded this year so that we can continue this work. All this shows is that there have been historical disparities when it comes to especially communities of color. And we're doing what we can in our modest way as a result of this wonderful support from the city and reducing, if not ending, those disparities in those communities. And so I'll let it go at that, and I'll ask try to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Mr. Mel Mason and the Village Project? Jasmine?
I just have one. I know that your facility is on Broadway.
Yes.
Do you offer any of your resources out of other locations, not just schools, but maybe like rec centers, or is it all based at the facility on Broadway?
Yeah, at this point, most of our services are located in the Broadway building. We do have an after-school academy that's off-site. It's a school district. It's a school district site. It used to be an elementary school, but we have our program there. We do outreach. We have a clinical outreach program that goes all over Monterey County. But as far as a building, we have this one building at this particular point in time. I think we all have dreams about having other extended offices of our program, but right now, financially, that's not something that we can afford to do.
And then my one other question is, what is your biggest served age group? If you had to say, it was a span of 1 to 2 years, what age group would you say that would be?
Okay, well, in most of our programs, our age ranges are quite long, quite wide. For instance, this year and in this particular program, our youngest client was 11. Our oldest client was 67. If we were to say, draw a chart or come up with some figure to say which age group is probably has the most numbers, it would probably be the 30 to 40 age group, followed closely, I think, by a lot of our adolescent clients and their families.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Derek?
For both programs, are the services free of charge to participants, or is there a certain fee?
No, all of our program offerings at the Village Project for the last 13 and a half years that we've been in existence have been free, and they are continuing to be free.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Mason.
Okay, thank you.
I believe we have one more organization. Ernesto, will you pull up the slide, please? Thank you. Mr. Josh Mathis from United Way, take it away.
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. My name is Josh Mathis. My title is Vice President of Community Investments for the United Way of Monterey County. The United Way focuses on access to quality and affordable housing, access to quality and affordable childcare, and asset building and economic mobility for vulnerable residents in our community. I'd like to share a brief presentation. Oh, can you let me share, please?
Yeah, okay. You just called. Yeah, that's it.
You should be good to go now.
Great. So our program is to build capacity of informal childcare providers in the city of Seaside through outreach and information and referral, education and referral. Just a brief bit on the need for this program. We know that in the city of Seaside, only 36% of 3 and 4-year-olds are enrolled in preschool, and that's very low compared to neighboring cities in Monterey, Pacific Grove and Marina, and statewide. And we also know that there's only 9 licensed childcare providers in Seaside with only 108 slots available. And we know that there's 68 children birth through 5 in Seaside. Why this is important, because we know that access to quality early childhood education just has an incredible return on investment for people. It increases kindergarten readiness, school attendance, school performance, high school graduation, and they've correlated early care and education to jobs, a strong economy, and increased earnings, and also reductions in criminal behavior. But the benefit is not just for the children, but also for families. We know that in Monterey County, families spend about 20% of their income on childcare, and that can range from 10 for subsidized care to 36 for families who don't have subsidies, and that it's in some cases more expensive than college. Also, just freeing up, your opportunity to work is also a benefit for childcare, for quality childcare, particularly for moms. So we know that because childcare is limited in supply and that it's very expensive, that a lot of Seaside families are driven to informal childcare providers known as family, friends, and neighbors. And we know that there just aren't a lot of local resources available to them to support the quality of education and development for children under their care. Also, we know that many of the local childcare providers don't identify as educators and just see themselves as babysitters, and they don't know about any supports that might exist for them, nor do they understand or elevate their role in promoting age and stage appropriate childhood development activities. So our strategies to address this problem are to partner with Mujeres en Acción to identify existing resources that support FFNs that could improve early childhood education and development for children under their care. And so this might be identifying and like resources in libraries, like read alouds and age appropriate books. It could be early childhood development programs in the community, capacity building training programs, alternative payment programs, and then just developing materials, supplies, curriculum, and videos to make available to FFNs. After we've sort of developed and identified the resources that exist within the community, our Mujeres en Acción promotoras will conduct outreach at local places where FFNs gather. So it could be places of worship, it can be playgrounds, grocery stores. We will hold several events to provide information, referral, and really to develop relationships with these childcare providers. Mujeres en Acción and the United Way have partnered in similar capacities countywide to do these kinds of programs, and we've got a really strong relationship with them. They are peer-to-peer support networks that are primarily supporting Latina women, and they would basically identify these childcare providers and connect them to resources. In addition, we would also provide them with flyers, videos, and other supports. Also, the United Way has a very strong referral network, and we would work with these educators to connect them to other resources that they may need to help them achieve their goals and be economically self-sufficient. So, for example, food or rent assistance or financial coaching. We've got many, many partners in our network that can support them to be independent and provide better quality care. So the deliverables and outcomes, we aim to provide at least 6 outreach events to connect and identify with at least 30 family, friends, and neighbor childcare providers. And at the end of the program, we would have 30 FFNs be more aware of their important role in supporting early learning of children under their care, be connected with the resources to promote their self-sufficiency, and really to elevate their role as childcare providers, and just know how to access the resources that are available to them. So that's the program, and I'd love to hear any questions.
Thank you for that presentation. Any questions from the panel? Tony?
Yeah, so if I understand you correctly, it sounds like from your proposal and from this presentation tonight, mostly you would be involved in connecting the providers with other resources in the community as opposed to providing resources yourself. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so I'm curious, and maybe you can reference the programs that you've had in South County. Is this then a service that's kind of needed ongoing? Do you normally have the same group of 30 FFNs, and then once you provide them with the resources, they don't need it again next year? Or are you constantly finding new ones in the community to assist year after year?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that question. So we currently implement a similar program in the city of Gonzales and Greenfield, but it's a more rigorous capacity building program where we identify the FFNs and support them by implementing play groups that have learning objectives embedded in them. And we continue to sort of teach them early childhood education and development. But that program is very expensive. And we want to be able to continue to support these informal providers, but knowing that, you know, we don't have the budget for this proposal to do it. So we're looking for another way to provide a high quality program at a higher scale. And I think that, you know, we would definitely do some monitoring and evaluation in our program to really put a finger on the pulse on how their capacity has increased to provide those early childhood development activities. And then wait and, you know, see if they would need that ongoing support. But I think that it could be finite in that after we've identified resources and help them with their sort of self-efficacy in terms of becoming educators, that it could be sustainable.
Thank you.
Jasmine?
Yeah, I was just curious also, I know you guys have kind of like a program already running in another city. Is there a goal or even maybe a direction that there is a pathway for these care providers to maybe become licensed facilities? Or is there a partnership maybe with like First Five or the NAEYC so that it's a little bit more, or I guess a bigger pool that they're able to pull from? Because I know like some families utilize these services because maybe they don't have time to wait on the wait list or they can't afford, you know, the actual centers, but maybe they can get on the list with some of these offerings and maybe even a couple of units to be a licensed in-home care provider. And then that can, you know, give them a little bit more of a foundation to continue and be prosperous as well.
Yeah, no, that's a really great suggestion. And I think we would definitely build that into our sort of referral program, would be referring them for opportunities to become licensed. And we have a strong partnership with the Community Action Partnership of San Luis Obispo, who actually implements our FFN program in Gonzales and Greenfield. And part of that program is referring them to CAPSLO to become family-based providers that are licensed. And so, you know, we could absolutely do the same. CAPSLO operates in Seaside and has Head Start programs. So that is definitely on the table for this program. Yeah, and there's also, you know, I think NPC has an early childhood education program that we would be happy to refer these promotors to, or to the FFNs as well.
And then, you know, another thing maybe to consider, I know that some licensed facilities can actually have some home care providers licensed under their umbrella. So that might be something to look at, is maybe partnering some of those centers with some of those families to be able to operate under that umbrella and maybe even lessen some of the cost.
No, I think you're right. And you know, I think if they are licensed, that it would probably improve the quality of care of, you know, of the kids that they support. And as I mentioned, CAPSLO has that relationships with their centers. So I think we could definitely make that similar type of program in Seaside.
Derek?
I guess the program is pilot. Is it only then designed to support up to 30 providers, so reaching then potentially 50 youth out of the 2,668, that are in need of this kind of care or resource information?
So it would be a pilot, and I think if it's successful, then we can make a case to fundraise for more to have a bigger scale and support more promotor, more FFNs and more kids. Absolutely. And I think we recently applied to the Packard Foundation for this similar program, and we're funded as well. So we'll be implementing the same model in several South County communities. So we'll have a nice sample size, after the year, that we can then demonstrate that this is a strong way to go. And as I mentioned, our other model and First Five funds a similar program to ours, where it's rigorous capacity building, but it's just very expensive. And if there's a way to increase capacity at a reduced budget, then this could be a really promising practice.
And then just to expand upon that question, is there if you get more than 30 interested, providers, how do you make that distinction as to who gets accepted and then who potentially has to get turned away?
Yeah, in my mind, that's like a wonderful problem to have. And I don't think we would turn any away. I mean, I think, we would find a way to support as many FFNs as we came across. I don't think that we would find it in our heart to say, no, we don't have enough bandwidth, and we only said we were going to do 30, so that's enough.
Right. Okay. I just have one more question. What's the criteria, I guess, to select the promotores for the project?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And Mujeres en Acción, so they've already identified several in Seaside that they think would be good for this role. And it's really folks from the community that are known and that have relationships already, and that they're integrated and are respected, and just probably already know folks that are doing this kind of work. So we would look for locals that are just tapped in, and I think it's folks from local faith-based organizations, and then also local school districts to really find these people.
Awesome. Any more questions from the panel? All right. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thanks.
It looks like, I believe that is our last slide. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see what's coming up next. So bear with me for a second. So we finished our applicant presentations. Thank you guys so much for taking the opportunity to come and present to the panel tonight. We really appreciate it. And it really putting a face in front of these applications and being able to interact with the ad hoc committee just gives that much more perspective. It makes it that much more harder for the panel to make their decisions. But thank you so much for taking the opportunity tonight. We are meeting on October 27th at 6 o'clock and November 8th at 6. So you will be streaming on YouTube as well as the link will be posted on the website and on the agenda so that you can tune in and join us at that time as well to hear the discussions. Unfortunately, just a note, one of the applicants was unable to, due to an emergency, they were unable to present tonight. So we will see if we're going to be able to allow them 5 minutes on the 27th just to give their presentation to the panel. And with that, I will see you guys on Wednesday. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your evening.
All right. Thank you, everybody.